Welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 91, my first episode with my new camera. How's it look, guys? Let me know. I'm also shooting out on the porch so that I have some nice light, and I'm shooting not with my new microphone, which apparently did not come in the mail, so I apologize if there's any sound issues. If the sound's A-okay and awesome, then that's good too. It's going to take a little bit more editing to get the sound in correctly, but what can I do? So anyway, here we go. I'm upgrading my YouTube channel as requested. Every single video in the comments, where's your new camera? Get a new camera. Oh my gosh, it's so grainy. I have listened to your complaints and I am acknowledging them for the first time. But before, my philosophy was always, it's just about the information, guys. Like, it could be a podcast and it would basically be the same thing. So I don't think the video quality was like the essential part of what I was doing here on YouTube, but it sure helps. So maybe now I can actually do a little bit more vlogging and stuff like that. Let's dive into the show. It's Friday, October 21st. Maybe I'll get this uploaded today, but the information in here will be timeless. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to this next year or not. I promise I'll try to answer perfectly for all time. Okay, so the first question comes on Twitter from M2K Doctor with an underscore, and he or she asks, sometimes I find myself performing better when I'm not focusing on the game. Why is this, and should I change anything? The answer is maybe you change something. Now let's talk about why that's happening. So essentially, I want you to think about everything that you can possibly do automatically without thinking as I. That's like a variable to represent everything that you can do, that you've trained yourself to do, and that you can just whip out without even thinking about it at all. So if you, for example, you pass Cristiano Ronaldo a soccer ball, he'll just like catch it. He'll trap it. He won't even think about it. He won't focus on it. He won't do anything. He'll trap it. He's thinking maybe about the shot or the pass or the next thing. But what he's doing right there is just catching the ball with his foot. And that's something that you don't have to think about. So the things that you can do automatically and play well, when you get out of your way, when you get out of your brain's way and you just let your motor cortex take over, and you have this like nice smooth, just imagine a smooth, freshly paved highway of beautiful asphalt straight from your visual cortex here, from your eyes to your visual cortex, into a little bit of your neonatal cortex, and then into your like motor cortex, and then you're moving your fingers before you even think about it. You're actually thinking about it, you're just not thinking about it like with your consciousness. Your brain is doing its thinking thing for you. So that is a trained sport motor movement, reflex, conditioning, whatever you want to think about it. And that's the ideal. That's where you want to be performing. Now the problem is, if you just do that, you will only ever perform at the level you're capable of that you've already learned, and you won't actually grow very quickly. So what most people do is I plus 1, where they have everything that they are capable of doing automatically, and then they focus on learning something or adding something to that or fixing a mistake. Because if you look at your freshly paved highway in League of Legends, for example, and you compared your freshly paved highway to Bjergsen's or Faker's freshly paved highway, you'd see that yours was like meandering all over the place and had potholes and like occasionally went off into a swamp and then like ended in a cliff half the time. And you'd realize that, oh, actually, even though this is very automatic, it's not good. So what most people do is they take everything they can do and they focus on one thing that they're trying to fix. They're just trying to fix that pothole. And everything else is automatically flowing past them. The cars, the traffic is just going by. But every time that they get near that pothole, they're like, okay, I'm going to veer around it this time. And pretty soon, that pothole's been fixed. So usually when we're competing, we want to be in flow state. You want to be in a state of flow where you're not focusing on anything, you're not getting in your brain's way, and you're performing at your optimal level. Might not be good enough to win, but it's everything that you can pull out at that time. Then when we're training, we want to try to be focusing really hard on the stuff that you can't do very well and trying to improve on that, which means it's not going to feel automatic. And what I recommend is to mix and match. So this is what I do with my team. Is sometimes I let them do flow state because it's very motivating to play in that way. It feels good, it's refreshing, the brain doesn't mind it at all, it doesn't feel like work, it's just relaxing, especially when you're performing well. So remember, there's sometimes when you're playing automatically and you're losing a lot, and that doesn't feel very good. but it's the same thing. You're still in flow state. You're still performing automatically. You're still performing at the top of your capabilities. It's just those capabilities aren't good enough. So I recommend that when you're feeling it and when you really want to play for fun and you really just want to like try to express yourself, you just try to get out of your mind's way and try to be in flow state and try to just focus on just being in the zone. Focus on the present moment and move from there. And then when you really are feeling like you want to get down and dirty and you want to do some work and you want to train yourself, that's when you have your checklist and you have your reminder list and you try to force yourself to think about what you're going to be focusing on and you train yourself hard. And it feels like work because it is work. And afterwards you're tired because you worked. And yeah, that is the answer to my question, MK2_doctor. I hope that it was useful to you and to everybody else who's listening. Next question. Next question comes from Mike, aka Orez. That's literally his Twitter handle. It's Mike_aka_Orez. And they ask, how can I climb when my bipolar disorder kicks into overdrive? It's hard to maintain skill with mania and depression. So you're automatically at a handicap when something like bipolar disorder kicks in or when you have mania or depression. And so you have to reorient your definition of success into something that is not competitive with you at your best. Okay, so that's the first step, is reorienting what success feels like and what climbing means. Because it might be that you cannot actually climb when you are in overdrive and your bipolar disorder. That's just going to be the way it is, because on the ladder, there's going to be a bunch of people who don't have a handicap. And the global ladder is very unforgiving. The global kind of like ranked ladder of all pool of human masses. It's just like a kind of faceless, voidless, objective kind of measure, objective measure of like where you are in comparison to all of them. And I guess I would recommend that you spend a lot more time studying and learning, because a lot of the things that you do when you're studying and learning the game will have an impact in the long term. And so, like, let's say you come out of your overdrive as you defined it. I'm just going to use your language here because I'm not really sure what kind of language you use when you're having an episode. But let's just say you come out of overdrive and you're kind of like back into being settled, and you start spamming games. You can use some of the knowledge that you learned when you were studying, but then you didn't play badly over and over and over again and tank your rating when you were kind of in overdrive. So that could be one solution for you. You could, just like accept the consequences of your play during that phase. I think that if you think of you as the average of everything that you can pull out in a given moment, what you're going to realize is that it's totally fine to climb or not climb. What you always want to feel is improvement in yourself as a person. Whether or not that results in improvement on the ladder isn't in my opinion very important. Like if you were to have a really bad game and you focused through it, and at the end you were able to accomplish the things that you wanted to accomplish, win or lose, like pulling off the gank or boosting up a teammate who is being like harassed by his teammates, and you kind of like stood up for him, I would count that as much more of a success in like bipolar disorder overdrive than I would count something like being able to climb. So I would say reorient what your definition of success is and try to figure out ways other than increasing LP that you can measure what improvement in you looks like, or what you overcoming an obstacle looks like, because that's really what it's all about. LP is just an obstacle that we use to have a barrier that we can climb over. So why don't you put the barrier tangentially to the LP and instead inside the game and make it your own kind of hurdle that you want to overcome. Good luck, Mike, aka Orez. Okay, next question is from Weldonzo. Wait, somebody used the Twitter handle my name plus Zo. Well done with an E, Zo. Okay, that's hilarious. Do you have any tips to improve discipline? Love your work, Tom. Thanks, Tom. Apparently your name isn't Well Done, Zo, so I think that's like false marketing. But anyway, Tom, Tips to improve discipline. Yes, the only tip that I have is the only thing that ever worked on me, which was the mindfulness acceptance commitment program that I put on my website and that I did on myself for a while. So that my discipline in my life only improved in two points. One, when I started doing meditation daily for 3 months straight, pretty much. And two, when I had a baby. Or actually the second baby or third baby. I don't remember which one it was. But one of them kicked me in overdrive in terms of like, I need to get something done. But that only lasted for, whenever something serious is going on. And then the rest of the time I'm back to my normal self. So my recommendation is to either go to Tara Brock's website for free, headspace.com, where you have to buy a yearly membership, or my website, mindgames.gg/MAC, which of course is the best place to go. And get one of those options for kind of a consistent mindfulness program and then do it. If you're already doing mindfulness, then I don't know why you're asking this question. Oh, then maybe you're asking this question because you still can't have discipline, in which case maybe you're missing the acceptance commitment part. So then I would recommend my program because it's more than mindfulness. It's also talking about how to take your values and turn it into action. Which, if I summarize that for you, it's essentially looking at yourself at your most motivated, look at what you do, realize that your behavior is not connected to your emotion of motivation, that it's just something that exists independent of your internal feelings in the world, and that you can do that even when you don't feel the motivation, and then you just get mindful and then do it when you don't feel motivated. Okay, next question is from brider_II. So, brider too. Brider. He must bride people. Or she must bride people. Twice. Watching LCS makes me too hyped that I feel my breath is fading or gives me stomach aches. I think that it is adrenaline, but I'm not sure. I am also not sure if it is adrenaline. Unfortunately, it could be many things. It could be stress. It could be cortisol. It could be stomach acid. Could just be your body's super excited and so there's a ton of different chemicals going through. When you say, I think it's adrenaline, it's a little bit too simplistic because there are a myriad of chemicals that kind of are hosted in this chain. For example, adrenaline is simply a molecule that goes and triggers other things to happen, right? So I think it's definitely hype. That's for sure. Looking at the question again. Okay, so my recommendation is that you actually use this excitement to train yourself how to handle pressure because it feels so exciting and stressful and nerve-wracking, and it's the same kind of emotion that you might feel in a fight with a loved one or when one of your children is going on stage to do their piano concert or a myriad of other things that might happen in the future of your life that you're going to need to all of a sudden be able to handle. And just making sure I'm in focus. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. Like I said at the beginning of this show, this is a new camera, and I don't really know how to work it very well. Okay. So take advantage of the opportunity of when you feel like emotionally charged from a spectator event. Like I feel totally sick when my athletes go on stage. To breathe, collect yourself, orient yourself to what is real and what is like happening right now, and accept and kind of let the emotions wash over you, but try not to let them burn your energy up, burn your focus up, turn your aggression up, make you lose your self-control towards other people, and all the sort of things that go along with being super amped up and needing to kind of be a calm in the midst of hysteria when, if you think about movies and you think about, the amazing stars of movies, and one of the key things they have is that, the sniper in the middle of the crazy, crazy fight and he's just calmly there like taking aim, or the hero in the midst of all of the things is like seeing the baby who's like falling out of the window and everybody else is screaming and running around in circles, or the woman who's going to keep it all together, like, dishes are flying all over the place and whatever, and they're just like calmly standing there, like looking and seeing the important things. So it's all about not calmness in the chemicals in your body, but calmness in your thoughts, and being able to just kind of be looking at the stream of information as it goes through, be looking at the chemicals as they act on your body, and then being able to choose the response that you want, and being open to other stimuli, other visual, oral stimuli that are coming in, so that you don't end up with blinders on and miss important details. So I recommend that you take LCS viewing time, since this is the thing that it causes you to feel, that you take that time to practice those skills. It might be incredibly useful later in your life. Or maybe you're really old already, in which case it'll be useful sooner than you think. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Fifth question from Primal Overwatch. And they ask, "Hi Weldon." Hi, how's it going? "I'm a psych major and I'm trying to get into esports scene as a sports psychologist. Do you have any advice?" Yes! Don't do it. Sorry. You're my competitor, so obviously I'm going to tell you to stay away. What kind of advice were you? No, seriously. If you look at traditional sport, what you'll see is that there are not very many sports psychologists that are making a living at it. That basically you have to start a practice. So think of it like a profession, like a lawyer or a doctor, where you have to go and you start your own thing. You start your own clinic, you start your own practice, and then you serve a bunch of different teams. And then so you have to have all these other skills. You need to be able to market. You need to be able to set up a business. You need to be able to do the finances. You need to be able to create products that you define as a product. You need to be able to set the pricing on those, negotiate pricing, sell to businesses. I think I spend like 90 to 1 ratio of selling to actual working on a client. So I sold and sold and sold and did sales and sales and sales for years before I even got one sale. And then even then you can't slow down. One time I was really booked up and I slowed down on doing sales. I slowed down. Like I kind of didn't go and start like finding new sales and like working the line and working the cell phone and working the email and working the Twitter and doing my marketing. And what happened was within like 3 weeks everything dried up and I was at zero income again. Almost instantly. So when you want to be a professional sports psychologist, what you're looking at is being a business owner and doing mostly sales. Okay, so now, if what you want to do is help people in esport, I recommend aiming at the college scene. Because if you look at the traditional sport world, which is an entertainment industry, except for the Olympics, but the Olympics only come around once every 4 years, so if you get a job as a sports psychologist at the Olympics, you're not looking at a very lucrative kind of career. Sports at the professional level, whether esport or traditional sport, is a entertainment industry. It's at the college level that it's a developmental industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but the players don't earn a cent. And so essentially all of that money is going to the infrastructure around it, the supporting staff, the coaching, and all of the mantra and the ideology behind it is the development of people and the development of players, the development of holistic athletes and stuff like that cannot happen at the pro level, because at the pro level performance is everything. So there's no such thing as well-being. Like we have coaches who are injecting their athletes with steroids, and we have coaches that are forcing their players to train nonstop forever with no balance at all and not have lives and not have girlfriends and injure themselves and not maintain themselves and literally they have to create unions to limit practice time. So at the professional level, it's an entertainment industry driven by profit and performance, and at the college level it's driven by development. So that's the mantra, at least that's the narrative. So I would recommend kind of like aiming there, which is really useful because then when you're doing sports psychology studies in university, you can look for practical placements in the college level athletics at your kind of university. You can look for practical placements at other universities and you kind of work yourself in there. And there's going to be esport at all these universities and they're going to take with open arms any sort of like volunteer work that you can do. So that is my recommendation for kind of getting started on that path. Okay. Next question is from Sirius. And they ask, I recently realized that I do not fear my team messing up the game for me, but my own performance. How do I deal with that? Oof, yeah. There are some people that are afraid of their team screwing up, and there are some people that are afraid of themselves screwing up. And they're both valid ways of going through the game. I think that the one that is self-focused, you have more room for improvement, for rapid improvement. And how do you deal with that? It's tough. Obviously, I think the number one thing to do would be to practice acceptance, which is something that's like the world happens and you just have to accept it. So the emotions that come along with it, and you deal with it. The disappointment in yourself that comes along with it, and you deal with it. You accept it, you let it pass through you, and you just keep focusing on moving forward. And I think that the ability to center yourself, so a lot of times people who are like you and like me, people who are like you and like me, they get very, very stuck on a past event and it affects their performance on future events. So you mess up and then you mess up again and again because you're still thinking about the previous mistake. So the ability to center yourself and then step forward and kind of erase that mistake until after the game, when you can go back and review it, is a really essential skill. And planning also. So there's 3 things I recommend. 1, get better at acceptance. 2, get better at centering yourself and kind of like stepping forward and not thinking about something in the past until you get to that point. And then number 3, preparation and study. So do a lot of preparation and study more than other people. Prepare for the game, prepare your steps, prepare like which CS you're going to trade at, and try to enact those plans and then learn from them, adapt them. Because the very act of you planning for something and then failing at it and then going out and picking it apart and improving it slightly will help you focus that anxiety and that stress into something that's productive towards improvement. And you can feel good about serving your team in that way, in the way that you are kind of trying to make yourself better. And that is a salve on the wound. So that is my recommendation, and I hope that it helps. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Thanks for checking out my new camera work. Sorry if the weird focusing in the middle was throwing you off, and I hope that it's actually in focus right now. I'm not really sure. We'll see. I can kind of check the focus off to the side here, but it's not perfect. And please be sure to check out my Mac program. mindgames.gg/MAC is the landing page. You can read about it there. You can see the testimonials of people who've increased their rank with it. You can see kind of like all of the 47 sessions that it entails. It's just kind of an online course, 1 session a day or 1 video a day, 10 to 25 minutes that includes a mindfulness or centering exercise, a little bit of teaching about acceptance and commitment and about mindfulness and how you can use it to improve your life, improve your sport, improve your esport application of training, and all sorts of kind of balance around that. That is a program that I've been working on for 3 years and that I discovered first in sport and kind of transitioned it to esport because I thought it was incredibly valuable and very powerful in the research. A lot more powerful in the research in terms of the effect it has on performance than a lot of other interventions that we've studied in the sports psychology field. Also, I recommend you join my reading list. You can find the link down below. It's essentially an email list where I share with you my favorite stuff that I discover every week. So I try to send out a digest every weekend, and in the meanwhile, you'll get a list of my tips and tools and favorite videos that I've either made or posted up on my blog that kind of take you through the best of series that I have right now. And anytime I find new stuff, I add it to there and it goes out to you guys on the list so you can stay up to date with whatever cool tech, tools, websites, books, content that I am finding that I think is valuable for, hyper performance. And finally, be sure to check out the 5-Minute Journal. The number one tool that I think has the easiest implementation with the most impact in terms of resilience in the brain of almost anything that I can do. I think mindfulness probably has the strongest impact, but it requires this kind of daily consistent 10-minute to 15-minute sacrifice and actual focus and actually doing it, whereas the 5-Minute Journal is more like 5 minutes instead of 15 or 20, and it works almost automatically. You can go into it not even wanting to get anything out of it and being pissed off about your day, and you can do it, and just the act of doing it has this kind of effect that if you're screwing up with mindfulness and it's not working, that you won't see there. So that is why I recommend it as the easiest and most powerful thing for resilience building. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. initiate, you can flash over their CC and like chain them. You have like you can use your speed up for yourself and like keep them in range and get the initial snare so the follow-up CC can land. Like you have a lot of engaging tools for that purposes.